Tomorrow night is the special Saturday night's main event. So tonight's show did a little work to hype it up. However, this is not as big as a normal pay-per-view. So the show also focused on Money in the Bank a little bit. Let's take a look at everything that happened on tonight's SmackDown. For this is the Cerebral Smack Talk. Hey there, welcome everybody to a special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. I am your host tonight, Anthony Florio, sitting in tonight for good old MF Michael Fletcher. MF will not be joining us this evening due to work commitments beyond his control. He will be with us for our next show, and I will address that in our future content at the end of the show. I am joined tonight by the Phenom Michael Bullock, and, well, because of the fact that MF is not here, we are going to bypass our TNA Impact review, and tonight we are going to focus on tonight's SmackDown, and we're also going to focus on NXT Battleground that takes place this Sunday night, exclusively on Peacock, of course, and we'll break down that card in just a little bit. But first, let's get into tonight's edition of SmackDown, which was live from the End Market Arena in Savannah, Georgia. And we started off with an in-ring segment. We had an in-ring segment, and it was the WWE Women's Champion, Tiffany Stratton. She came out to start the show tonight. Tiffany Stratton made her way out to give a promo. It took about a minute before Alexa Bliss interrupted her. It did not take long for Charlotte Flair to join them. She got a ton of heat from the crowd as she spoke. And then Julia showed up. And then they got into it. And this was a pretty tame segment that ended with Tiffany leaving as Julia came out for the qualifying match with Charlotte Flair and Zelina Vega. And all three women traded moves for a couple of minutes, but well, actually, I meant that for the other stuff. So, for the next match, so it was a pretty tame segment. So, nothing overly earth-shattering or anything like that. So we're just gonna bypass that segment, and we're gonna get into our first match of the night, which was the triple threat match to qualify for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. You had the Queen Charlotte Flair, you had Julia, and the women's United States champion Zelina Vega, and the winner of the match in 13 minutes and 30 seconds, Julia. Julia is going to Money in the Bank. 3.5 stars for me. While the pace was quick, it felt like there was a lack of urgency to the moves. Each spot was done as part of a predictable sequence, so nothing felt spontaneous. It was surprising to see three talented wrestlers have a match like this. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. The last few minutes picked up quite a bit, and everyone came close to winning at different points in the end. Julia scored the win to earn the spot in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And the neck cracker Julia did looked way too slow, and Charlotte was screaming in pain very well to sell Julia's Rings of Saturn submission. I'm actually going to go between 3.25 and 3.5 on this. But I am more than fine with the outcome here. I mean, going into this match on paper, obviously Charlotte Flair would have been the overwhelming favorite, but they gave it to Julia. And quite frankly, I'm glad they did. And I'm very happy with the decision. And we're shaping up to have an all-timer when it comes to this women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, and now you add Julia to that mix. And next week on SmackDown, we're going to have Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax versus Naomi. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to call. So So 3.25, 3.5 stars for this opener here. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, come on in. Julia, how about this? Julia's first match as an official member of the SmackDown Women's Division, and she's going to Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just shows you that they're high on her, and I mean, for her to get her first win, and it puts her in Money in the Bank to join Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, and Rhea Ripley. Yeah, I mean, that looks like a pretty good field right now. So, yeah, I mean, 3.25, 3.5. So, yeah, so we'll, yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with this. I mean, so there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on.
All right, and we move on to all right, and then we had a lot of backstage stuff, and then we had Chris Sabin squaring off against Tommaso Ciampa, and Tommaso Ciampa wins the match in 11 minutes and 15 seconds with help from his best friend's girl. That's right, Candice LeRae, a name that we've been wondering where she's been for a while. But Candice LeRae, she made her return tonight, and she helps DIY win. So Michael Bullock, Tommaso Ciampa, defeating Chris Sabin, 11 minutes and 15 seconds, and Candice LeRae. I guess she's going to be their manager now, I guess, from what it looks like here.
Yeah, judging by the way it ended up, I mean, Candice LeRae looks like is going to be the manager for DIY. I think the last time we saw her around was when she was with Nia Jax, when Nia was the women's champion. So that I can remember. So what was the time of the fall again?
I'm sorry about that. 11 minutes and 15 seconds.
All right, 11 minutes, 15 seconds. Gotcha. Again, this is somewhere around I'll give this around 3.25. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was fine, like you said, until Candice LeRae, I mean, stuck her nose where it didn't belong. So it was about a 3.25 star match. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah, 3.25 for this as well. This was a fun back and forth contest between two guys who know each other very well. They focused mostly on technical offense and strikes, but Chris Sabin used a couple of high-flying moves to add some excitement. Alex Shelley took a running boot that was meant for Chris Sabin during a distraction from Gargano. As Ciampa faked a knee injury, Candice LeRae attacked Sabin from behind, allowing Ciampa to hit a running knee for the win. DIY had a video segment that was very good. Tommaso Ciampa always great with heel promos. And Chris Sabin somehow managed to fix a head scissor takedown mid-move after it looked like he wouldn't get his leg hooked around Ciampa's head. It was impressive. So this was about 3.25 for that. And then we move on to yep, and then we had a lot more backstage stuff, and then we finally had. All right, actually, this is going to be a rare cutout here. It was Michin and B-Fab squaring off against Piper Niven and Alba Fire of the Secret Harvest. Chelsea Green was in their corner. Michin and B-Fab winning the match in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And they had a little help from Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega showed up and she neutralized Chelsea Green, and it was enough for Michin and B-Fab to win the match in 3:45. This match was not very long, but it was decent for what it was. This is probably about 1.5 to 2 stars. You could probably say this was the worst fight of the night. But it was announced later in the show that Chelsea Green is invoking her rematch clause. And tomorrow night on Saturday night's main event, Chelsea Green will get a chance to regain her Women's United States Championship as she challenges Zelina Vega for the Women's United States Championship. So now we have 5 matches set for Saturday night's main event tomorrow night at the Yingling Center in Tampa, Florida, as part of that huge Memorial Day weekend coming up. So that was obviously the worst fight of the night. Then we had the men's United States champion, Jacob Fatu, teaming up with JC Mateo, Jeff Cobb, Solo Sikoa in their corner. They squared off against Jimmy Uso and Rey Fenix. And it was Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo getting the win. They win the match in 12 minutes and 40 seconds. This is about 3 1/4, 3 1/2 as well. And this was a decent bout, but other than some of the stunts Rey Fenix pulled off, it was relatively simple. Mateo ended up hitting his finisher on Jimmy Uso for the win. And a lot of time was spent making sure we knew Mateo and that JC Mateo and Jacob Fatu do not get along. That was the main story of this match. So the outcome almost felt secondary. So another 3 1/4, 3 1/2 star bout, decent bout. The corkscrew from Rey Fenix was awesome. He only got a couple of rotations, but the speed made it look like more. And that is that. So this was about another 3 1/4, 3 1/2. So not much more for me to say. So Michael Bullock, come on in. JC Mateo, Jacob Fatu, they defeat Rey Fenix and Jimmy Uso in 12 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah, I'll give this about 3 1/4, 3 1/2 as well. And I mean, and the thing is, you see Florida from the winning team. I mean, they couldn't get along. They had the blind tags. It's almost like Jacob Fatu doesn't trust JC Mateo. And I think you're continuing to see the descent with, and you know what? I think, Florio, it's only a matter of time before Jacob Fatu is done with listening to Solo. So, and that he's done with the new bloodline. So, we'll see. So, nothing more to say. Let's move on.
And we do indeed move on. It was the in-ring segment. R-Truth came out to give a promo about facing John Cena tomorrow night. He said the man he is fighting is not the same man he idolized. The crowd gave him some what chants, but R-Truth did a decent job controlling the crowd and getting some pops along the way. So, Michael Bullock, you told me during our SmackDown chat tonight that you felt that this was one of R-Truth's best promos, if not his best one.
Yeah, well, this is definitely one of his best promos that he's had in a while. And he's finally come to the realization that this is not the same John Cena that he idolized, that it's all because of he's not happy because he has power. And maybe he's finally starting to see the light when it comes to Cena.
Right. So
we'll see tomorrow night. But obviously, we're all in agreement John Cena's winning that.
Definitely.
And of course, it was announced, that John Cena is going to return next week.
He will be on SmackDown next week in Knoxville, yes.
And you kind of also wonder if this is where we'll see who his next challenger will be.
Yes, because you'll have to set up Money in the Bank, and I'll have something on that in just a moment. I'll share what I told you earlier during our SmackDown chat as far as a dirt sheet that I read, or a rumor thing I came across on social media. But you're right. This was the most mic time Truth has had in what could be years, and his upcoming match against Cena will be his biggest spotlight in years. Let's hope he pulls it off. And no matter what ridiculous stuff WWE gives him to do, it's impossible not to like R-Truth. So a solid promo there, to say the very least. And now we move on to the men's Money in the Bank qualifying match. As it was Aleister Black versus LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And the winner of the match in an even 11 minutes, with everybody saying LA Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is about another 3.25, 3.5 or so star bout here. Nobody seemed to have a clear advantage over anyone else, so it was pretty hard to tell who was going to win until the end, which made it more engaging. With Aleister Black and Shinsuke Nakamura both incorporating martial arts into their style, LA Knight almost felt like the odd man out in this match, but they all did a good job working together to make this fun. And Aleister Black hits the Black Mass on Shinsuke Nakamura, but LA Knight pulled the ultimate. He pulled the edge. He pulled the ultimate opportunist bit. He throws Aleister Black out of the ring, and then falls on top of Nakamura for the pin. And LA Knight qualifies for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Nakamura has such a cool character, and it still feels like WWE doesn't quite know what to do with him. And LA Knight almost slipped when he jumped to the top rope for a superplex, but he and Aleister Black saved it. So we got two so far in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And so far, we've got LA Knight and Solo Sikoa. If I'm going to be honest with you, right now with the field the way it plays out, I'm looking more forward to the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. You see the strong field on the women's side.
Well, hold on a minute, Floria. Let's wait and see what the men's field like. Because remember, we only got two.
Yeah, we have two so far, but if I'm being honest, I'm kind of underwhelmed by the two.
I agree with you right now. I mean, the women's field is more intriguing, but
far more intriguing.
The key word is for now.
For now.
Let's wait and see. We still got 4 more spots left on the men's side, so we'll see who's involved in it before we
still
say
have a couple more weeks of qualifiers.
Exactly.
We'll have more qualifiers on both TVs next week. On Raw Memorial Day Monday night in Tampa, and next Friday SmackDown in Knoxville, and then probably 2 more going into Money in the Bank Go Home Week to start the month of June. So yeah. But for right now, I got to channel my inner Bret Hart meme. I'm not impressed with the men's side so far. LA Knight, Solo Sikoa. That doesn't really scream excitement to me. But the women's side, though, oh yes. Far more intriguing. When you have the likes of Alexa Bliss, a former winner in her own right, and Roxanne Perez, the newest member of the Raw roster, which I'm still thrilled about, Rhea Bloody Ripley, and of course with Julia winning in her SmackDown debut match tonight. That's a way more intriguing field. So we still have a couple more weeks to go. So I'll reserve further judgment until then. But as of right now, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, that's it. Yeah, not really feeling it. Sorry. But hopefully the other 4 will make up for it. So 3.25 for this. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, LA Knight wins the men's Money in the Bank this qualifying match. He defeats Shinsuke Nakamura and Aleister Black in an even 11 minutes.
3.25 for me. I mean, this was I mean, I thought this was a good match here. Yeah. A little surprising. I thought maybe Aleister Black would go over here, but
I thought so
yeah,
too. I thought
yeah,
so too.
but he, LA Knight pulled the edge move, being the ultimate opportunist, and took advantage of it. So yeah, now yeah, we'll see what happens with this. So there's really nothing more to say. So it's yours.
All right. And I believe all right, before we get to the main event, let's set the table for next week's SmackDown, which will emanate from the Thompson Boiling Arena in Knoxville, Tennessee, on the campus of the University of Tennessee Volunteers. We have the return of WWE Champion John Cena. John Cena will be in Knoxville, which makes sense because earlier today, WWEshop.com released exclusive John Cena Knoxville themed merchandise today. So it makes more than enough sense for Cena to be there next week with that merchandise promotion. Also returning at SmackDown next week, the hometown girl herself, Bianca Belair, going through an injury right now. You noticed during that vignette of her that she had a bandage on a couple of her fingers. So, but she will be back next week, and it'll be interesting to see what she has to say. She's going to get a major pop because it's her hometown, and it's also her alma mater because she is a Tennessee Volunteer. She went to school there. So, yeah, old Rocky Top indeed. And then 2 more Money in the Bank qualifying matches on the women's side. Naomi versus Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax. That's a be a woman fight right there. That's a be a woman fight, and that can literally go either way. It really can. And on the men's side, it'll be Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade versus the United States Heavyweight Champion Jacob Fatu. There's no doubt about that one. It's got to be Jacob Fatu on that one. I got a feeling about that. The women's one, I'll get back to you next week. Main event. And I am so glad they made this the main event. I had a good feeling it would be the main event, and they made it the main event. WWE Tag Team Championship on the line. The champions, the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, defending against the hottest team in wrestling right now, Fraxium, Nathan Frazier and Axiom. It gets thrown out. The match ends in a no contest. And all kinds of chaos here. DIY showed up. We thought they were going to cause a disqualification. And then the Motor City Machine Guns show up to keep them at bay. But then rumors were going around earlier today that a certain faction that we have not seen in months was going to make their return tonight. And guess what? That certain faction did indeed make their return. The Wyatt Six. And it's only fitting because today would have been Bray Wyatt's 38th birthday. He would have turned 38 today. We all know of his tragic and sudden passing, August 24th of 2023. We all remember that day. And he passed away at only 36 years of age. And also, as the show was going off the air, you noticed there was a small little birthday cake in the ring. And Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt's brother, blew out the candle. A very emotional day for that group, no question about it. A beautiful tweet that was posted by JoJo, who was his wife, and a very well put together, a very beautiful and well said tweet by JoJo about honoring her late husband's birthday. And the reason why I was going on like that was because of the fact that my initial set of notes did not have a time of the fall, but I found another set and I found a time of the fall. The fight ended in a no contest in 21 minutes and 17 seconds. I know we should give this an NA, but this match was too damn good. It's initially a 4.5 star match, but I'm bumping it down to 4.25 because of all the craziness at the end. I mean, man, the match started with about 20 minutes left in the show, so they had plenty of time to make sure they made this as entertaining as their previous encounter. They quickly turned up the intensity and made this just as competitive as their last bout. And even with the clunky finish, this was a lot of fun to end the show. There was an interesting moment with the Street Profits and Solo Sikoa backstage earlier in the show, but it might not lead to anything. And the way Nathan Frazier and Axiom do some double team moves specifically designed for fighting larger opponents is awesome. Originally a 4.5 star match, but it's bumped down to 4.25 because of the craziness at the end. But this was still the fight of the night. Absolutely. Well, this was an incredible match. We knew it would be going in. We knew they were going to steal the damn show. And they did the right thing, making this the main event. No other match on this card tonight was going to top it or come remotely close to topping it. So, but yeah, I thought Fraxium was going to win the titles here. I really did. But I guess it's still a little too soon for those guys. But rest assured, they will be tag team champions soon enough. Believe you me when I tell you. And DIY getting involved, Motor City Machine Guns getting involved, but the Wyatt Six. It has been forever since we've seen these guys, and great to see them back. And a beautiful moment at the end of the show in remembrance of what would have been Bray Wyatt's 38th birthday. So, great way to end the show. Normally, we would be upset about, a match getting thrown out, especially after it being so damn good. But this is one of the rare times we'll make an exception here, mainly because of how it went. Mainly because of how this show went off the air tonight. So, not much more to say. Michael Bullock. The fight, this incredible tag team title match gets thrown out. It ends in a no contest in 21 minutes and 17 seconds. DIY shows up. Motor City Machine Guns show up. But the big selling point, the return of the Wyatt Six in that beautiful moment in honor of Bray Wyatt's birthday to end this show. And it left us saying, as we always say, so that happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. I mean, they're back, and all I can say is this is going to get very interesting with the return of the Wyatt Six. I mean, they basically just put the entire tag team division on notice, so we'll see what happens here with what they do. So, yeah, 4.25 for me. It was 4.5, but 4.25 because of the clunky finish. But this is the one time we'll make an exception because of the true meaning of it. So with the ending, so nothing more to say. And as far as my overall thoughts on this edition of SmackDown, I mean, I thought it was a good show. I mean, you did have one match that was passable. I mean, not
A
passable.
bad one
Yeah,
bad match.
one bad match, and then one segment that was, well, pretty much not really all that spectacular. That was the opening segment. But
Right.
other than those two, everything else was good. So I'll give this about maybe 7.5. So what's yours for you?
One bad match. All the other matches were solid to good to great, especially the main event. So I'm going to give this in excess of 7.5, teetering on 8 out of 10 for me. Tonight's SmackDown saw LA Knight and Julia qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder matches and a few other developments, but for the most part, this was the definition of a filler episode. Saturday night's main event was addressed mostly with R-Truth's promo, so it didn't feel as if WWE was hyping it the same way it would with a pay-per-view. The matches we got were all relatively entertaining, but once again, the Street Profits and Fraxium stole the show with their performance. WWE has found something special with the duo of Axiom and Nathan Frazier. They have worked well with every single team they have fought, and they continue to be one of the biggest highlights on the blue brand every week. Ending the show with the return of the Wyatt Six seems to indicate they may go after the tag titles, but Fraxium has an argument for deserving a rematch, so they have an argument for deserving another shot at the titles. So let's hope they get a rematch at some point. And I believe in my heart of hearts they will do just that. So this was 7.5, teetering on 8 out of 10. Solid, good, very good show. And I mentioned earlier, I forgot to mention, there was a rumor going around about, I mentioned I was going to mention this during the R-Truth segment. I had heard a rumor about a possible 6-man tag team match that might happen at Money in the Bank. On one side, you would have the WWE champion John Cena, Logan Paul, and Travis Scott squaring off against both World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso and Brother Jimmy, the Usos, and possibly the returning American Nightmare, former champion in his own right, Cody Rhodes. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. And the plan is for that to happen at Money in the Bank. But you only got a couple of weeks to hype that up, and you got to get Cody back in there. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for this show. Now let's run down the card for NXT Battleground. NXT Battleground will be live this Sunday night from the Yingling Center in Tampa, Florida. As we all know, this was initially supposed to be a four night weekend for this thing. Saturday night's main event tomorrow night, NXT Battleground on Sunday night, Monday Night Raw to cap off your Memorial Day Monday night, and then they were supposed to have the NXT, the weekly TV NXT in that building, but due to poor ticket sales, as we all know, they had to pull that. So this Tuesday's NXT will be back at the Capitol Wrestling Center, the Performance Center in Orlando. So, but this show will be at the Yingling Center on Sunday night. And we have 6 matches on the card. And without any further ado, let's dive right on in. WWE NXT is up next on the PLE schedule with NXT Battleground set for Sunday. This is the rare Sunday PLE, which many see as counter-programming to AEW Double or Nothing that same night. Still, there is a lot to look forward to for all professional wrestling fans, including some very interesting matches on this card. So here is a breakdown and a preview and predictions for Battleground. So we're going to start it off with Tony D'Angelo squaring off against Channing Stacks Lorenzo. The Tony D'Angelo versus Stacks angle has been one of the more consistent and fun angles in the NXT men's division. It is one of the character-driven angles that makes NXT fun to watch at times. However, this is the end game for perhaps both men, as their characters do not truly translate to the main roster as they would have in the past. Both of these performers are young in their career, and this could be a rivalry that is revisited throughout the years. But I believe at NXT Battleground, Stacks will get the win over his former boss here. So I have Channing Stacks Lorenzo winning this match. I think he's going to do it by nefarious means. So give me Stacks to beat Tony D. So Michael Bullock, your thoughts? Tony D'Angelo versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo.
Who would you have?
I went with Stacks.
Yeah, I'm going with Stacks as well to win this one and get the upper hand on Tony D'Angelo. So let's move on to the next match.
We have a 6-man tag team matchup. NXT Tag Team Champions Hank and Tank teaming up with Josh Briggs, and they're going to square off against the Culling. That is Sean. It's going to be Brooks Jensen, Nico Vance, and of course their leader Sean Spears, Izzy Dame in their corner. So Michael Bullock, we got the Culling versus Josh Briggs and the tag team champs Hank and Tank in a 6-man. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Culling here, and I'll even do you one better. I think Brooks Jensen is gonna get the pinfall on his former partner Josh Briggs. So it is yours, Florio.
I could see that. I could see that happening.
Yeah, to prove to him that Brooks Jensen was the better guy from the team.
That could happen. WWE has its work cut out for it with Hank and Tank. They took the tag titles off of Fraxium at Stand and Deliver. Of course, Fraxium, perhaps the best team in the business today. Not only were they having great matches, but they were developing into fun characters. Hank and Tank need to beat the allegations that they are Heavy Machinery 2.0. They were another fun team, but one that had its uppermost limits clearly defined. This match will be a fun showcase to get that momentum rolling, but do not expect a high-level display of pro wrestling. So I've been going back and forth on this one, but after the argument that Bullock just made, I think I'm going to go with him in the Culling to win this match. So, and that would set up and it could possibly set up a championship committee moment, maybe for Jensen and Vance to possibly be the next challengers for Hank and Tank in the tag team titles. So I'll go with the Culling to win that match. NXT Women's North American Championship on the line. The champion Sol Ruca defending against the inaugural NXT Women's North American Champion Kalani Jordan. Sol Ruca is a fun personality on the NXT roster. She has shown flashes of the type of talent that WWE looks to push within their women's division. She has a strong fan following, which is only growing over time. Kalani Jordan is in a similar boat. It's too soon for her to move to the main roster, and she's already held the Women's North American title. I believe this is Sol Ruca's match to win, furthering the developing angle between her and Zarya. So winner and still the NXT Women's North American Champion, Sol Ruca. I think Sol retains, and I think eventually they're gonna put together a Sol Ruca and Zarya program for that title. So give me Sol Ruca to retain. Michael Bullock, what says you?
Yeah, I'm going with Sol Ruca to retain the Women's North American Championship, and yeah, set up a future feud between her and Zarya for that title. And then I'm going to go on the record as saying that I think this is where Zarya becomes the new Women's North American Champion.
I'm going to go a little out of order on when it comes to our next few matches here. On my notes here, it has the women's title match next, but I'm actually gonna call an audible here. I mean, usually on an NXT show, the NXT Championship main events it, but I got this feeling this is not going to be the main event for some odd reason. I don't think it's going to be the main event. I think there's another match that's going to be the main event, and I believe it should be. So I'm gonna hold off on that until the end. NXT Championship on the line. The champion Obafemi defending against Miles Bourne. I believe Bullock starts this one off. So Bullock, NXT Championship on the line. Obafemi, Miles Bourne. This technically could be the main event, but because of a certain match on this card, the other two matches when it comes to the main event side of things, I don't see this being the main event, and especially with the outcome. I think because we all know who's going to win this one
and who's fighting.
exactly.
So, yeah, no doubt about it. It's Obafemi who retained, so it's yours, Florio.
Miles Bourne has a great story. He's got some passionate promos about rising to the occasion and wanting to win for the people who face disability challenges like him. While that is inspirational, he's not winning this match. Obafemi is a force to be reckoned with in WWE. How far he will go in WWE is a question that is difficult to answer. But he's in a position to dominate when it comes to NXT. I believe he will hold this championship for the better part of a year before dropping it to whoever is next up. WWE is looking for new ways to find young performers, and perhaps LFG has already tabbed the man to defeat Obafemi, but it will not be Miles Bourne at NXT Battleground. If you saw the LFG Legends and Future Greats on A&E all these Sunday nights over the last few months, you know that it was Jasper Troy who won the men's contract, the protege of Booker T. And I believe whenever they decide to do that match, I believe Jasper Troy is going to be the man to dethrone Obafemi for the NXT Championship, especially after what Jasper Troy did to Obafemi this past Tuesday night on NXT. So, but for right now, the winner and still NXT champion, it is Obafemi. We go from the men's NXT championship to the NXT women's championship. The champion, Stephanie Vacour, defending against Jordynne Grace. Stephanie Vacour has become a big star for WWE, and it has happened almost overnight. Whether she's on NXT or the main roster, she continues to get big reactions from fans. As WWE looks to make a major push into Mexico and other countries south of the border, Stephanie Vacour should be a big part of that. With that in mind, I know I'm going to surprise a lot of people when I say this. I think it makes sense for Stephanie Vacour to lose the title to Jordynne Grace and make that move to the main roster. I mean, Roxanne Perez is now there. Julia's now there. On the one hand, Jordynne Grace does not belong in NXT. She's main event ready and should have debuted there after how she dominated TNA, especially last year. On the other, she could be a foundational pillar for the next year of NXT. And putting the women's championship on Jordynne Grace and giving her maybe a year-long run or so would make sense. And I believe that means she will win the title at Battleground. So I'm gonna pull an early Raw chat favorite from myself and Bullock. I'm gonna pull out a bold prediction here. I'm making a bold prediction right here and right now. Winner and new NXT Women's Champion, the Juggernaut, Jordynne Grace. Stephanie is main roster ready. So that's how I feel. So Jordynne Grace, the new NXT Women's Champion. How do you follow that, Bullock?
And don't forget another reason why I think she's main roster bound ready.
Yes.
She had 2 matches on Monday Night Raw,
including the Raw after WrestleMania.
Yeah, against the women's world champion Io Sky, and even being against Ivy Nile. Yeah. So if that's not proof that she's main roster ready, I don't know what is. So I'm actually with you, Florio. I'll tell you this, if she didn't have these 2 matches on Raw, then I would think otherwise, and I would say Stephanie Vacour retains the title. But because of that, and I think she's ready, I say this is the time she drops the belt. So winner and new NXT Women's Champion, Jordynne Grace.
And we move on to the match that I believe, with all due respect, should be the main event of this event.
And it's a history maker.
That's why. For the first time ever, on any WWE program, PLE, what have you, a TNA championship is going to be defended inside of a WWE ring. Not just any TNA championship. We're talking about the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Joe Hendry, defending against Trick Williams. Bullock, good, our dear friend and colleague, good old MF Michael Fletcher, has gone on the record and said that he thinks that Trick Williams is going to make history. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, and I know you were going to talk about it on tonight's TNA recap, but from what I saw with tonight's Under Siege result, Joe Hendry and Elijah defeated Trick Williams and Frankie Kazarian after
Yes, they
Trick
did.
accidentally hit Frankie Kazarian with the trick shot.
Yes, that's right.
And Joe Hendry got the win.
Booking 101.
So it could come true. So, because we've been going back and forth with this to see, I mean, especially after what Joe Hendry even did on Tuesday night, but after what we saw tonight, I think it's booking 101. And I'm going with Fletch, even though it pains for me to have to say it. The winner and new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Trick Williams. It's yours.
The NXT and TNA partnership has led to a lot of big moments, but none involve a champion from one company winning a championship from the other. That should change here with Trick Williams defeating Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry's internet rise was fun, but it feels like it might be winding down. His arrival at WrestleMania 41 against Randy Orton was a nice surprise, but also felt like the ceiling of how far things could go. Trick Williams has the potential to be a bigger star and has more long-term upside. Putting the TNA Heavyweight Championship on him for a brief run would be a nice change of pace instead of moving him to the main roster where Triple H will not use him to his fullest potential. So, and considering the magnitude of this match, I strongly believe this match should be the main event of Battleground on Sunday night. And if it is, that puts it over the top. Winner and new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, whoop that Trick Williams. Trick Williams will win the title. He'll hold it for a little bit. And I believe that Mike Santana will be the one to dethrone him. And I could see it possibly happening in July at one of TNA's biggest events of the year, Slammiversary, at the UBC Arena in Long Island, New York. That's Mike Santana country. I think I pretty much gave away the ending of Slammiversary. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but we'll see. But for right now, if we really want this NXT and TNA partnership to really, mean something and give us something to talk about, you got to have Trick Williams win the title here. So, and especially after the result that Bullock just shared, oh yeah, winner and new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, whoop that Trick Williams. All right, so with that will put the bow on this special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. Like I said, we tentatively have a show scheduled for our next show is tentatively scheduled for Memorial Day Monday night. A special Monday night edition of Talking Wrestling TXN that will be hosted by good old MF Michael Fletcher over on his channel Bracefan 95, as we will have the recaps of Saturday night's main event and NXT Battleground. I don't know. I might be having plans on Sunday. I don't know. If I do, then obviously we'll keep it on Monday. But in the event that I don't, then maybe we might do it Sunday night. So right now it's Monday, but it could be Sunday. I'll keep you guys posted. But either Sunday or Monday night, we will have that special edition of Talking Wrestling TXN with MF over on his channel Bracefan 95, and we will review Saturday night's main event and NXT Battleground. Tuesday night, Ridiculously Raw here on the Tone 25. We will have Monday Night Raw and NXT. And for a one-time return of the Tony's Take, I will share the results of the TNA Under Siege event. And then I believe it'll move on to Friday night and next Friday night and the Cerebral Smack Talk. I don't believe we'll have anything scheduled for TXN Sports World for this week. It might be back the following week when we get into the Stanley Cup and NBA Finals. So, in the UFL playoffs, among other things. So that's all I can tell you for right now. So until either Sunday or Monday night for that special edition of Talking Wrestling TXN, this is Anthony Florio here for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and of course, always and forever, our First Lady, the one and only Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up, Fortune Force style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Memorial Day weekend. And until either Sunday or Monday night, for that special edition of Talking Wrestling TXN, you have been watching this special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.